All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Whoever is a night owl still joining us. This is Leah here and Meg Seifert. We're from Headwaters Science Institute. I do communications and Meg is our executive director. Hi, Meg. How are you?
Hi. Yeah, I'm was on first thing this morning and back again tonight. It's been an awesome day. Super excited to we've had such a successful big day of giving, so many great donors, lots of fun things all day. I really appreciate Leah and her ability to organize all the communication today to make it such a fun day for everyone on the internet since we can't be together.
Thank you so much. We've had quite the crash course in technology, and we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm going to be kind of our little mini host because Meg has done a lot of question asking today. So it's funny that you mentioned all these communications because I wanted to touch on how today we really became sort of technology experts. And especially with this quarantine, we've had to figure out how to use technology to keep reaching our students. So what are your thoughts on mixing technology and science? And did you know when you started Headwaters that we would be as tech savvy as we are today?
Well, there's a lot of areas of science where technology is a huge part of it. We had purposefully stayed away from bringing in too much technology just because we didn't want things to get expensive real fast, like having fancy labs and those kind of things. On the other hand, we've always tried to pull in basic computer skills, statistics, and tech. I guess I had not imagined all the other kind of tech skills to start running programs online or to run all of our fundraising and parties online. But I think this time has been really informative, and I feel like one of our goals in bringing you on as communications director was to expand our, online presence and what we could bring to people online. This wasn't exactly what we had envisioned, but I really think that we've, for a small organization, with really just 3 of us working mainly full-time-ish during this time and Mary Ellen working part-time, that we've pulled together our skills and done some pretty great things in the last month and a half.
I would agree. I was reflecting as I was preparing for this about how we've all kind of become experts in our own right. Spencer Usden, our program coordinator, is an expert at live streaming. Meg has certainly become an expert at iPhone filming and creating wonderful science programs with her kids. And just as a little funny tidbit for everyone watching, this whole live stream kind of came about from us reflecting, watching PBS as younger people and how they would have kind of a telethon with people in the background crazily answering the phone and saying, "We have a donation from John Smith." And that has that has grown into what was really successful and a great way to connect today. So I think we did our very best job.
Yeah, I mean, my kids have loved being involved in the videos. They actually, at our 8 o'clock, but they go to bed a little bit earlier than that, had wanted to be involved. And they had this idea that they were going to get on our live stream and say, "We love Headwaters. We want your moolah, moolah, moolah."
That's great.
But I made them go to bed instead of letting them come on. But anyway, they've really become more involved in Headwaters than ever before. I mean, I've done programs at their school and things like that, but I think it's a little bit different to have it be sort of in their face every day, me working on the side of them doing their schoolwork or them being involved, which has been kind of neat for our family.
That's great. Yeah, so to kind of go backwards a little bit and talk more about why we're here today, we've talked a little bit about this online programming that we've done and using technology to keep reaching out to people. Can you remind our viewers why we are still so committed to getting these programs to our students during this crazy time of quarantine?
Yeah, I would say that actually one of the big things I'm worried about with quarantine is disparity in education. I mean, we already see that across our country within schools, within socioeconomic, um, lines. And I know like my kids are lucky, even though they may not tell you that, to have parents. My husband's a teacher.
Mhm.
I'm obviously, while I'm not a regular classroom teacher, super involved in education, and we both understand and get how to educate our kids and are very committed to that during this time. But not everybody's homes look like ours. For example, this afternoon I jumped on Mari's online class meeting for their sharing and weekly check-in, and it was while we had stuff going on for Headwaters, and the teacher's like, "Oh, you're here? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well,
Mhm.
this is my daughter's education. Like, I made arrangements in my schedule today so that I could make sure that we were involved." And so I think that just not all families have that. And right now, we're just trying to reach out to all those kids that don't have the same opportunities and trying to create things that could be used in the summer or anytime in the future that once we put the money into making, I think one of the things that we hadn't really thought of before because we were so involved in in-person things is sort of the longevity of these um, these online lessons. So I feel like we are really helping right now and also preparing for the future for this disparity that's occurring. We really want to create education that's affordable, science education that's affordable for everyone. And
Mhm.
I think we also want to be mobile and flexible for when this ends, that we can hop hopefully into classrooms or Zoom or Google Meet into classes and offer things that maybe typically we wouldn't have been able to, so that all kids have a chance to recover from this pandemic in terms of their education.
I think that's great. And I would also like to add, I think one of the pieces that I've realized during this time is that all of these online components, they don't replace the in-person stuff, but they can totally go hand in hand. So that when we go back to hopefully what looks more like in-person hands-on learning, we now have all these skills to offer online education that goes hand in hand with what we're doing in person. And one of the beautiful benefits is that online education is a little bit cheaper to access. We cut out the transportation costs and some of the supply costs. So I think that it's a skill that can permeate what we're doing in the future as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think then we can still offer those sort of the scientist mentors that come in for parts of the research project, but there are other parts that maybe creative teachers or teachers that we work with, can utilize some of the online education so that we decrease the amount of either individual time or travel time to classes.
Hmm. So we've talked a little bit about some of the students we work with, and that kind of leads me to my next question about kids who have sort of a curiosity and then maybe want to grow into professional scientists. And I think one of the most fascinating things about today, whether we planned it or not, is we fostered some understanding by some scientists who definitely grew up as young kids interested in science and then grew into really accomplished professional scientists. We've got you as an example, our board president, Andy Giordano, great talk with Jan Dudek, and all of you started just as these kind of curious young children who really pursued a career. So how does that relate to what we're doing? What do you think about that? Or we're starting kids young with that same curiosity that maybe you started with?
Yeah, I think one of our hopes is that I would say each one of us feels like lucky that somehow we ended up in science. Like my parents weren't scientists. My mom was a special education teacher. My dad's an English teacher into education, but I was like always the weird outdoorsy, sciencey math one that they didn't seem to understand quite as much. And I don't know, just maybe because I had, I'm one of four, like that was like sort of little, space in my family that I carved out and I clung on to it. I don't know, but yeah, I think all of us feel kind of lucky that somehow that's where we ended up, where we want to create an environment where it's not by luck that we are enticing more kids or showing them their creative end of science. Also, I'm the first one to say I was really ill prepared for graduate school in terms of creativity. I was a terrible scientist at the start of grad school. I could rattle off all the facts, tell you about, all the things that I'd had to memorize, but it's like, well, okay, tell me what to do and I'll do it. That's not what science is. You have to have an interest. You have to ask those questions to be curious and creative. So grad school really pulled on me to learn how to be creative, learn how to fail in those things. And my younger sister, who actually is on our board, Erica, she is very creative, but because of all the memorization and those things, would have said she was terrible at science, had no interest in math or science. And now, well, it's not exactly the same kind of science. Her job is polling, where she is creating research projects, asking questions, doing statistics, all these things that she was terrified of and ended up sort of in by accident, and realizes that like had maybe she had a different path when she was younger, she could have had a different start to her career, been more interested in science. Like Michelle talked about, she was terrified of science, but never realized, like, she's super creative, that there were creative components to science. So I think that we really I love, my favorite moments of teaching are when a teacher was like, the student has never done anything in my class and now they're leading this project and creating this thing. It's those moments of inspiring kids that thought they were bad at school or bad at science, and realize that there are all these outlets for their creativity, engagement, hands-on things. And so those are my very, very favorite moments of teaching, is when we've inspired these new students or students that say, science, everything's already been done. Like, I'm going to go to school for something else. And it's like, well, no, it hasn't, and they learn that during their lessons. So I think that all of those, that's what I hope for anyone, is to get the budding scientists that don't even know they're a budding scientist. And even if they don't end up as a scientist, I think that students learning that process of science, it's like Andy showed with photography. It's something you can apply to photography, the process of breaking down, asking questions, experimenting. My hope is that no matter what career students choose, they are going to be very set, with their further academic endeavors or careers, by being able to apply that process of science to break things down and think.
Right. That's great. Thank you for talking us through that. If you're watching, one of the reasons that we wanted to do this kind of end of day check-in was to make sure that you know what Headwaters is and have a little bit of insider knowledge from the brain behind Headwaters, Meg. And that you know why our mission is so important to us. So everything that Meg just said is why we care so much about Big Day of Giving, because when you help us fund what we're doing, then we can reach more students through our programs and build their curiosity, hopefully open them up to career opportunities and maybe life experiences that they didn't think were possible. So that's kind of why we're here today.
It wasn't just to give me a chance to talk a lot about everything I'm passionate about.
I mean, that too. From the communications perspective, you have so much passion. I have to pick the little pieces. Okay, which piece of the passion today? And we've started a lot of letters to our donors that start with, when Megan Seifert was a little girl, she started with just a dream. But I think that is kind of sort of the motto behind what we're doing here, that you can start with just a dream and do something really, really, really incredible. And, you know, we see that weekly, for example, in our Lunch with a Scientist talks on Tuesdays. All the time we see scientists who started with just a dream and now are creating these amazing conservation projects and studying the resources in our world. It's really great.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the Lunch with the Scientists on Tuesday. I would say, of all the things that we've created during coronavirus, during this time, that's one that I feel like will keep living on, because we have so many scientists who are interested in putting talks out there, and teachers that really see ways to incorporate that into their class. I think it's hard for teachers and students to really understand what scientists do, other than maybe wear a lab coat and like pipette. You know, they have like that like stereotypical image in their head, and so we're exposing them to all different kinds of scientists. And while I really miss being with the kids, I do think that we've learned a lot about technology and how to use it, and that those are kind of lessons, those lunch talks. Scientists are always looking for ways to outreach and something that's going to be effective, and I think we've kind of been able to bridge that gap. So that's one that I think will last a long time.
Definitely. If you haven't seen it, there will be a new one this Tuesday. And since Meg is here, there will be a science lesson with her going live at 9 a.m. tomorrow. She and her children are going to go use some homemade bug nets. So to kind of bring things back to Big Day of Giving and let you all sort of get tucked in tonight and make your way to sleep, we've had a really great day. We've raised almost $11,000 for science education, and we're so, so grateful. Your support really helps all of our students. It helps fund scholarships to our in-person programs. It helps keep all of our online learning free. And if you do still want to donate, you have a little bit of time left, just over an hour and a half, to donate at bigdayofgiving.org/headwaters. And we would really appreciate it. And on that note, we want to thank some people. David Lentz of Sacramento, thank you so much for donating. We really appreciate it. Mary Ellen Benier, one of our teachers, thank you. She's just been great. She offered a great science lesson today. Thank you, Mary Ellen. The Lippman Family Foundation of Portola Valley, our board member, Michelle Ferbershaw of Menlo Park, Joan Kramer of Truckee. She's one of our brand new donors today. Mary Beth LaRusin of Truckee, and Dylan Lagai of Carmichael. Thank you so much, everyone. It really means a lot to us. And Joan Kramer, you have won a Headwaters t-shirt. Congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah. So we're going to close off our broadcasting for the day. You can see everything live throughout the day, left over on our wall on Facebook. Like I said, there's a little bit of time to donate. And Meg, do you want to say anything else?
No, just that I'm really appreciative of our staff and board and everyone who donated today. We had 100% staff and board giving, which was unbelievable. It just shows that not only are they all pouring their time and energy into this, but they're all putting some money behind it as well. It really, that really means a lot. And to all the donors today that make this possible. So yeah, there's a little bit of time left, and every bit helps. So we're hopeful that we will pull in a few more things. These last donations that Leah just read have come in since our last thing an hour and a half ago. So people are still out there, and yeah, it's not too late. We appreciate it.
That's right. And you just reminded me of one quick thing I wanted to say, that our network is so, so important to us. And we do know that it's a tough time. Not everyone can give what they maybe could have given last year before all this craziness. And I want to really acknowledge from the communications perspective, even if you clicked on one of our videos today or shared it or told a friend or opened our emails or thought about what we're doing and mentioned it to your child and asked them what they were curious about today. All of that helps promote our mission, even if it's not a monetary donation. So thank you so much to everyone who's been involved in any capacity.
Yeah, we have a great community. We've really created a good family and network, science education with Headwaters. And yes, all the ways that you share really help us.
Yeah, well, in the spirit of giving, thank you very much. We're going to sign off and say goodnight and get a little sleep. And we will catch you all with our lessons tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.